Howdy y'all, I'm PaintThatBell, here to welcome y'all to another installment of Story Sketch videos. Okay, so this time, instead of making a bunch of new characters, what we're going to do is instead draw some older characters and throw in a few new ones. We've had these characters for years, and I think it's really awesome to talk about with all of you about them, since they've changed a lot since of the birth of their conception. That sounded weird. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So originally, the idea for the story I came up with was when I was around 13 to 14, so around 2013 to 2015. This was when I really got into superhero action cartoons and really into the Marvel universe. You know, back when we were just baby nerds taking their first steps onto loving superheroes, sci-fi, fantasy, and all that jazz. So a lot of my characters were originally inspired by what I was watching at the time. This meant a lot of Young Justice League Unlimited, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Young Justice, and a whole lot more. At this time, however, never really took my character designs too seriously. I mean, they were more along the lines of coming up with the designs first and then spitballing the story as I went along. So that meant it was pretty inconsistent. I knew the backstory and major plot points, but not so much in between. Not to mention that the characters themselves weren't as fleshed out as they are today. Originally, it followed our main character here, Reflex, or Amara Hartwin as she goes by in her civilian name. Amara was an orphan. She'd been on the mean, lean streets for years. One day, she happened to steal from a retired superhero who went by the name Reflex. Easily, this retired superhero caught her and offered to make a deal. Bada bing, bada boom, she became Reflex. Yeah, sort of simplistic, I know, but the following stories afterwards would be a sort of more of an episodic, however you say it, sort of thing. No rhyme or reason, but just was. But since then, I've completely scrapped that world. Not the story in as much as we've actually fleshed it out a bit more. Well, a lot more, I should say. So much world building and history. But the original concept of the story stayed the same. And however, the world and characters haven't. The world now, instead of being in the modern day, is set in the future with a more cyberpunk setting. The premise of the story is that there are humans and superhumans, and they essentially hate each other and have been for many, many years of tension. So the government had to separate them so a civil war wouldn't break out and so many people died. And I mean, there's more reasons behind that, there was the final cataclysm for that reason, but not going to give away too much information. Now that's the world that our main character has been plopped into, Amara Hartwin. Her backstory before she became a superhero is a lot more fleshed out and has a lot more drama, to be honest. But I've always kind of wanted her backstory to be a bit mysterious to a lot of her friends and families and readers, because I do want to make a comic book series with these characters. So I'll save you all the details of her really fleshed out backstory, and instead I'll give you the parts that you need to know. Still an orphan, but this time a runner. Which, in this world, a runner is a person who is on the run from the government and the guards so as to avoid going into their proper zone for their power level. She constantly traveled the world as to be avoided, setting up temporary bases and getting a lot of odd jobs. Now, why would she be a runner? Just how powerful is she? I can hear you say from the corner of my desk. Well, over the years, I've noticed that her powers and abilities are kind of like Spider-Man's minus the clinging to walls ordeal, with a few additional powers like healing, kind of like Wolverine's or Deadpool's. And basically, it's a lot of detail. I really put a lot of detail into her power and to really make her different. And she has one power that nobody else has that... I know it sounds a bit Mary Sue-ish to say that, but I've also tried to level it out with a lot of drawbacks and a lot of weaknesses, so it's fair and not boring. But anyway, sort of a longish tangent, that is why she's a runner. So based on her backstory, I'm sure you can guess a few bits of what she's like. Really stubborn, trust issues, a lot of social skills that are lacking, out of the loop with a lot of new things that are common to humans but not superhumans, really confident but low self-esteem, willpower, brave, really cold and insensitive until you get to know her. I'm sure that's what comes to your mind, right? And if I'm wrong, well, kudos to you, I guess. This sticker for being different. Well, yes, that's all true, but there are a few more things about her that differentiate her from what you would stereotypically think. For starters, she's really curious, impatient, brash, brutally honest, has anger issues and all the issues that you can imagine that would come from her past, and more, so she's really rather withdrawn a lot of the time. Major potty mouth, so there's that. Chill until she gets riled up, which is a lot due to anger issues. She also has a really sarcastic and dry sense of humor. So, you know, that's kind of easy to do her humor style, because that's more my humor style. So she also has a lot of quirks that really make her stand out, but really, I think I got the main points across. I might have missed a few traits though, which I guess we can go over at another time. I don't want to leave anything out for you though, so if I forget something, we'll definitely be sure to let you know later. So knowing all this really made it hard to get her design just right. Her design has changed a lot over the years just because of this. Her original design, for example, was honestly pretty ugly. Just a lot of grays and a lot of lightning bolts. It wasn't that great, and I can't even imagine her in it now with just how much I fleshed her out. Even before you are seeing this right now, I came up with a couple of sketches to try out before landing on this design. You'll see them up on screen now. But her design now honestly makes more sense, and actually has a few callbacks to her previous designs, but still maintains the original vibes that we were kind of going for. Now, we would have drawn her human outfits because yes, she has a human disguise. How else is she going to live in the human zone? It was part of the deal, better life in the superhuman zone, but anyway. I would have drawn her human outfits, but we decided to draw it later because I had way too much other things to do at the time. So yeah, you're just getting her superhuman design now. I might draw it later and like post it to DeviantArt maybe, or maybe Instagram or something, but we shall see. Now, by herself, Amara can be a little bit boring, but when she interacts with other characters, you get more interesting dynamics. Some people she respects and others she couldn't care less for, but on one of the people she considers friends, but one of her... Josh Miller. Now, Josh Miller is the son of Amara's boss, the same man who used to be Reflex and make a deal with Amara to be the new Reflex. Yeah, Amara's being paid for all this. You really think she'd do it without money? But yeah, Josh is one of the first people we meet in the first comic that has yet to be made but is in the works. Originally, he had no depth. I really focused more on Amara than any other character, despite each other character being just as important to the story. I mean, his role was always supposed to be the love interest, but who he was and how long they've known each other has always changed. At first they were childhood friends and then slowly fell into love, but that got changed into being her boss's son, and it was a mess. Nowadays, well, he's very much different now. He still has a huge crush on Amara, but Amara doesn't really reciprocate and really sees him more like a younger brother type of friend. And he's about a year younger, so she's not wrong. Now, on his end, he's a really great guy with amazing morals and has always treated people with respect. He gets said a lot from his dad, but what he doesn't get is his father's ability to flirt really well. Josh can't flirt at all, which is something Amara and him just bond over quite a bit. Amara doesn't even know when she's being hit on, and it's just great. Josh clams up when he tries, so it's awesome. Outside of having a huge crush on Amara and being shy and timid around her, he's actually really enthusiastic with no social anxiety to speak of. Like, he can't stay still at all and is constantly energetic and needing to expend some of that energy. He also has a stutter from birth that he just cannot get rid of. Been to speech therapy and all of that. So yeah, he cannot get rid of it. So thanks to that and his social skills could use some work, he could be a bit much when you first meet him just due to how excitable he is. But despite all this, he has pretty low confidence and self-esteem. Remember his stutter? Yeah, he was bullied heavily because of that in school. So much so that he had to be pulled out for a couple years to be homeschooled, which didn't help his social skills. But during that time at home, he learned a lot of tech-related skills, particularly programming and coding, and how to cook, all of that from his mother. They actually had a pretty good bond, which is why it really hurt when his mother passed on. How she passed, you asked? Well, it's a long story and one that is really suited better for the comics, but it spanned multiple years of her life and it was a rather slow process, so yeah. He now lives alone with his dad and is in college. At 16 years of age, he got into college just due to how smart he was, and now he's like 17, close to 18. Now, I know I'm including him in the superhuman part of this two-part series of Reflex characters. Well, technically, he is a late bloomer, but shh, don't tell anyone that. I just couldn't bring myself to put him in the human part of the group just because it felt like lying, and I really don't like doing that. So I guess the cat's out of the bag on him being a late bloomer. I wanted to slowly reveal it in the comics, but who cares anymore, right? Now, for his powers, he actually has electricity-related powers. It's why he always has a stutter. The electricity coursing through his body is messing up with his vocal cords. It's also why he's so energetic and excitable. He's got a lot of energy coursing through his body. Now, electricity powers in a cyberpunk world? Yeah, he's quite the powerful superhuman and falls under the category of energy-based powers. But he can't tell anyone his powers, or otherwise he'd be forced to go to the superhuman zone. The only people who knows about his powers are the people who were there when his powers emerged, and that's the group, the Reflex group, so it's cool. Well, maybe except for one person in the Reflex group, or 2 people from the Reflex group, but yeah, that's about it. Now, keeping all this in mind for the design, I really tried to go for more athletic clothing. Due to his energy, he works out a lot, so he really needed some athletic clothing. I decided to give him some yellow and blue clothing as well as a hoodie. The yellow showing just how energetic he is and the blue showing that he can be trusted. Now, later on, I decided to change the color of his athletic shorts to blue so that the yellow stands out more on his shirt and really gives direction to where you should be looking. AKA the face. It's just right there and the head's right close to it, so it's good. Now, you'll see it later as I didn't record it, or I'll just put it up on the screen, either or. That's up to editor PaintThatBell. But don't worry, you will see it. I'm not going to jip you guys like that. That's just wrong. But as designs go, I honestly think this fits him. It's the right amount of geeky and nerdy, but at the same time energetic. And that's Josh Miller. And finally, we come to the last design of this video. Now, this character is more of an in and out sort of character in relation to the story, which is kind of why I want to give him his own comic book series in the future to just go with his adventures. But right now, I consider him enough in the group, the Reflex group, to draw him with the rest of the characters of this future comic book series. Who is he, you might be asking? Well, his name is Jasper Shard. He's a runner, hence why he's in and out of the story, but nevertheless, whenever he's in the story, you can always bet he always brings more to it. What with his witty charm and his spontaneous, warm, and uplifting personality, loves freedom and travel, social butterfly-ness, fun-loving showman who loves adventure, he's quite the guy, even with his few flaws, mostly being unreliable, impatient, bit of a man-child, cocky, slobbish, and it hates responsibilities. He doesn't take a lot of things seriously and doesn't want to be taken seriously himself, always the first to make light of a situation. But hey, anyone can look past that. After all, he's quite the charmer. Did I mention that? I don't know if I mentioned that. But he plays the ukulele when he's at shows. Very much a charmer, don't know if I said that, just naturally charming, just drilling the nail in the coffin. So shows come easily. He has a pet cat who acts more like a dog and follows him around. He's very cunning and street smart. His powers involve things like kind of like Jubilee, but kind of not. He's kind of a mixture of Jubilee and Dazzler, his powers are. So he can make a light show essentially, but if necessary, it can be destructive. So like bursts of energy essentially that can act as fireworks as times when he wants to be showy or explosive in others. He can also talk to animals, so there's that. Now, keeping this in mind for his design, I actually sketched it on paper, as some of y'all may have already guessed from when we were drawing the inks. The idea was that he lived in the superhuman district and is a runner, so his clothes wouldn't be the best nor in the best condition, and I really wanted him to wear suspenders, and since his feet are like that, behold the infamous toeless socks. Personally, I've always just loved these and always wanted them, but those who do not have, give it on to their original characters, or OCs if you're familiar with that lingo. So he gets suspenders and toeless socks. Also a hat due to his hat hair that he never shows anyone, so don't ask. I mostly based his superhuman design on cat elements, with inspiration from a tiger with the stripes and a goat for the horns. And all in all, you have Jasper. So these are the characters so far. I really like the relationship dynamics each character has with each other. Now, as stated before, I'm dividing this video up into 2 parts. So I'll try and upload the video at the next uploading schedule, which should be about 2 weeks from now. I want to do 1 week, but kinda busy, and 2 weeks, honestly, is what I can pump out. So 2 weeks from now, you're getting the next video. Sorry if you're really looking forward to it, but it's what I can do. But this next video should contain the humans in the Reflex group. Had a brain fart there. But this video is wrapping up, so let's go ahead and show final design.